like you did something.
And we're live.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm joining from mobile today, so I'll have my video off for most of the call. It's a beautiful day here in Austin, and it's great to have you all join today. Now, quick update. I don't believe we have a call. Does anyone remember we having a call with the vertical film strip? I don't believe we did. So I'm going to intro that a little bit. We as you're seeing now, our vertical film strip is vertical. Well, our film strip is vertical now, and we like that because we've had a number of occasions where it felt like the horizontal film strip was taking too much of the limited height that we had. On the other hand, we do have significant width on most modern screens. So that's a choice that we made there. Also, we changed the one-to-one layout. Now, you don't see a second thumbnail when you're in a one-to-one layout because that turned out to be confusing to many people. It sort of felt like there was one more person in the call to many. So now you only see your pretty much like with most major other video apps that mainly support one-to-one calls, you only see your own local video and the remote participant, obviously, and then you have some nice transitions when you click on yourself. The local view is separated from that of everyone else, which also gives us the option to get nice scrolling behavior. The film strip tucks nicely under the local view, the local preview. And we are thinking about potentially optimizing by turning off video for people who are not currently showing, but that's going to be down the road. We'll see how that works out. So thanks, by the way, to Lenny for working on that, and he's currently working on sort of making all of that clean and reactifying our entire film strip, which is important as it's also going to make it compatible with mobile. So we're going to get the same film strip across the board. So on a different note, we added a few Jitsi integrations. Thanks Damien and Aaron for working on Jitsi and the integrations themselves. So now you get 3 minutes on Jitsi when you call out. The point is that you could ring people who have forgotten to join a meeting. Obviously, we're doing it because for experimentation reasons primarily here on Jitsi. And for many of you, this might be interesting from the perspective that Jitsi is moving closer and closer to something that we consider stable production work, which is pretty much there. And that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, we have yet to get servers like FreeSwitch and Asterisk to support multiple SSRC mode, which means that Jitsi has to do the heavyweight lifting of mixing, basically. In our experimentation, we worked with Vox Implant, who implemented a multiple SSRC mode in their platform, and that is also something that Jitsi supports today. From what I know, Simon and some folks from IATM are interested in potentially looking at that for FreeSwitch, and also Chris and Kaiden from Comcast are looking at something similar. So we're working on that. Sorry, what's that? Did someone say something? Does anyone hear me actually?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So we're going to see how that turns out. Now moving on. We already talked about peer-to-peer mode. We're going. Oh yeah, we have a new website. That's pretty important. I'm getting a little bit of wind, so I might turn the ball over to someone else. But we got a new website. There's a few glitches around it. For example, our previous website is supposed to uh, we'll move to desktop.jitsi.org, and we will remove the bits and pieces there that were dedicated to Jitsi Video Bridge and Jitsi Meet. Uh, so that website would only be dedicated to the client, which it was really built for. And if you guys notice things missing or broken on the new website in the coming days or weeks, please let us know on the mailing list. We only have limited resources to work on that, but I think it turned out pretty good. It's substantially more geared toward Jitsi Video Bridge and Jitsi Meet, which are the primary topics of this community anyway. So we're very excited for that reason. Also, you have a nice calendar integration for this call on the front page. And in the following news, we'll be running a number of news articles around all these recent optimizations that we did, the telephony integration, the peer-to-peer for one-on-one, and the vertical film chip. And one that I didn't mention so far, the work on adaptivity that George has been working very hard on is now in a very good shape. I think there's still a bunch of patches that got in late last week around the exact strategy in which we turn thumbnails off and on. The strategy now is that we would always turn on people in the way they appear in last N. And as opposed to previously, we were trying to be smarter and say maybe someone hadn't spoken recently but would still plug them in just because they're the only ones that fit in the available bandwidth. Well, that turned out to be confusing, so we're not going to do that anymore. However, the bandwidth estimations are working pretty well. And this is some pretty major news, because bandwidth consumption is something that people often raise as a concern with SFUs. So now we have some pretty smart behavior there, and we use the same bandwidth estimation algorithm as Google with a Kalman filter. We're now thinking about potentially replacing the Kalman filter with neural networks and seeing how that behaves. We're going to keep everyone here updated on that. And I think these are the major topics for this week. Am I forgetting anything? Can anyone think of anything else we should be mentioning? We have some interface improvements coming in specifically for adaptive last N. That would give us clearer indications when you're not seeing someone else's video because they're being turned off for optimization reasons. You get this ninja icon in the call. Oh yes, of course, we have an audio only mode as well now. If you hover on top of the HD tag, HD or SD depending on what you're getting, in the top right corner, you can now turn on audio only mode, which means that not only is your camera blocked, but you're also not getting any video from the video bridge. So that might be a pretty cool addition for many. I'm using it now, actually, on mobile. And that's about it. Yeah, if anyone can think of something that I'm missing, please go ahead. And if not, then let's do open mic. Comments, questions, or suggestions?
Great work.
Thanks, Simon.
Yeah. I enjoyed the audio only. It's a nice feature for me because my system often wants to melt when I'm doing video.
Yeah, that's something that I often use as well.
I guess if we're lacking in things to mention, I can mention that we made a small change to support reporting your local deployment info via JavaScript. If you plugged into your analytics with Google Analytics or something else, you can now make your Meet instance report extra facts along with your events. Mostly that's not going to impact anyone here, but I just thought I'd mention it as an extra change.
Maybe you can talk about the facts that you can report.
Well, the basic idea is that you can report almost any fact about your deployment, and it will go into a JavaScript object that then can be appended to your analytics. So that if you're running, for instance, Jitsi Meet with multiple instances or multiple shards of it, you'll be able to report a little more information about each one. Or if you happen to just want to report something per each user or anything else, it's a pretty open-ended kind of extensible interface for reporting extra data with your analytics events if you happen to be tying into the existing analytics events already.
Yep, thanks for sharing that. Still open mic.
We have also pushed new stable releases. I don't know whether you mentioned that.
No, I hadn't. That's a good point. And we might actually want to push new ones once we merge, once we release with the latest adaptivity changes, which
Yeah,
we are
and
going to try and do this week.
yeah, and we have small bugs around the dialog, which we'll be fixing and pushing to stable.
Another thing that is worth mentioning is that we will be adding hooks that will allow you to show within Meet a directory of users that you can call. Now, the way you recover those users and the way you actually make the call is going to be entirely up to you. But that integration will now be possible. This is work in progress, so don't expect it before a month, but it's going to come there. This is basically useful for if you have presence-related applications integrating Jitsi, such as Rocket Chat or HipChat, for example. You can use their database of presence-fed information and just call your contact out of there.
So we had a question in the chat that George wants to answer.
We have Henry. Oh yeah, we have Henry asking what determines if you receive SD or HD video, and this is so the bridge is running a bandwidth estimation algorithm. It's fairly complicated, so you can read more about it in there's an internet draft that describes this, and Google Chrome runs the same algorithm. So the bridge is running this, and it determines how much available bandwidth you're having. And if you have enough bandwidth, it's going to send you HD. Otherwise, it's going to send you SD, provided that the on-stage participant that you're watching is actually doing simulcast. And this is the case if you're using Google Chrome. And that's it. That's how it works.
Or it could actually send you nothing if you have only very limited bandwidth. Okay, well, it sounds like we don't have...
I actually had a question I was going to ask if you guys have a second.
Absolutely, go ahead.
I posted, my name's Bill. I posted a issue in libjitsi Meet about a month ago. I was just going to ask about potentially supporting having multiple video tracks per endpoint. So being able to support something like screen sharing and having a webcam at the same time coming from one participant. I don't know if this is something that y'all can support or want to support. I guess I just wanted to see what y'all's thoughts are on that.
So, Christo, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's not impossible right now with libjitsi Meet. Is that right, Christo?
So
It's just that we have never really tested it, and we're not sure it works that well. But can you just confirm or deny this?
Yeah, so I have tested it a long time ago. Right now, with the current status, I cannot like confirm that. I mean, the interfaces are supporting that. Basically, there's no. I mean, you can add with the current interface two video tracks, but yeah, I doubt. I'm not sure what's gonna happen. Basically, I cannot like say it's gonna work or not. I think in certain cases we are assuming that we are still assuming that we have one video track only, so I'll bet that it's not gonna work very well and we'll have some work to do there. But yeah, I haven't just cannot say for sure.
Yeah, I think that there's some checks right now, at least in libjitsi meet, that it pretty much says no, you can't add more than one video track. I in an older version of in libjitsi meet, I've changed up some things so that I can do it, but there's a lot of things like dealing with participant selection and whatever screen share layers and that kind of thing that doesn't seem to quite make sense in those cases.
Right. So yeah, that sort of clumsiness would have been my expectation as well, and the reason is that being able to do that poses these questions that you're mentioning right now. Specifically, there are just UX choices about what do you do with active speaker detection at that point, and so it's not something that we're going to use, and we don't have any work planned on it. That said, on a libjitsi meet level, I wouldn't say that we're opposed to it if someone else wanted to do the work, but we have no work planned on that.
Okay, so if I potentially did some work this summer on getting support for that, you guys wouldn't be opposed to doing a pull request or something like that?
Yes. However, let's keep in touch before you actually do the work to make sure that we agree on the way it should be done, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll do some thinking about it and I'll stay in contact with you guys about it. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I just had a question about the I guess the simulcast issues with Chrome, or was it the stats? I can't remember which one was the one that hadn't really been resolved. Is that still an ongoing issue with Chromium?
So
in Jitsi?
from what I remember, and if anyone has more recent information, please feel free to update this. But the one issue that's fixed, I believe, is the one. So they had the thing related to the picture ID rewriting tagged as a security issue,
Yeah.
and I believe that now has been backported to 58. However, when we did a test and disabled picture ID rewriting, it was still this still seems to cause a significant number of crashes.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem like that fixed anything. And the situation in general, like when I'm looking at our stats, we do appear to be having a slightly lower number of crashes since the very last release of Chrome.
Yeah.
So I'd say that the situation has improved a little bit, but I don't know which specific issues are now considered fixed or not.
Yeah. Okay. So you should come back around and take a look at that. I had one during this call already.
Yeah, I don't think we're back to the levels from before the jitter buffer rewrite. And specifically, we still have, for example, there's this issue where that also came with the jitter buffer rewrite in Chrome, where now the decoder seems to get stuck sometimes, and it would just show a black frame or freeze on the last image, and then it would start sending FIRs but it would never get unstuck.
Yeah.
I think someone took the issue. I don't recall if there was a PR for it already or not, but it's definitely still in Chrome. So that one doesn't lead to crashes, though. It just stops seeing the video for certain people.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, I would like to add, even the GetStats had some memory issue, the GetStats promise-based API, which they released in Chrome 58.
Sorry, what's the, was that a question?
No. I would like that the GetStats promise-based API was also causing the Chrome to crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So
but
and
do you know if that's fixed now?
Yeah, we have rolled back to callback right at the moment. They will be fixing it in version 60 or something. So we'll be using the callback till then.
Okay, thank you, Karthik.
In the chat. About when the updates are going to be available for download. I think that refers to the Chrome backporting. Is that right, Henry? And he also reports crashing 3 times during this call. He has a question about using multiple cameras in a single computer, and I think that's what the discussion from a few minutes ago was. So screen sharing in a camera feed is one option, 2 camera feeds is another option, and I think the discussion was about either of them.
Yeah, and to summarize, the answer is, well, we're open to having someone contribute support for that in libjitsi meet. Although it would be an intricate piece of work because we have to decide what we do with all the dominant speaker detection and autofocus and all these things. And it's even worse for Jitsi Meet itself in terms of the amount of work that would be necessary. So we have no work planned around support of any of these things. Okay, well, it sounds like we got quiet. So thank you everyone for joining, and see you again in 2 weeks.
That was, Emil, we have some of our GSOC students here, so we can go ahead and move to the GSOC part of this.
Okay, well, let's stop the recording then, and we'll continue that and move to the adult section of the call.